Hey, what's up, everyone? Today is the 16th of January, 2024. We're going to talk about how China is still able to get their hands on Nvidia chips, even though there is a US ban on the chips. China's military and the government are able to acquire Nvidia chips despite the US ban. Now, how would that affect the stock? I mean, if they're able to buy Nvidia chips, then that must be a good thing for the stock, correct? I think so. Even though they're able to skirt around these laws, the Chinese military and the government, that is still able to allow Nvidia to make purchases of these chips, thereby increasing the share value of the stock. It was updated a day ago, January 15, 2024, from Reuters. All right. Chinese military bodies, state-run artificial intelligence research institutes, and universities have, over the past year, purchased small batches of Nvidia semiconductors banned by the United States from export to China. This is what a review from Reuters has seen from tender documents. The sales by largely unknown Chinese suppliers highlight the difficulty Washington faces despite its bans in completely cutting off China access to advanced U.S. chips that could fuel breakthroughs in AI and sophisticated computers for its military. So America is trying to restrict China from getting access to these chips so that it can slow down China's ability to come up with new AI breakthroughs and military capabilities. Now, you got restrictions on the books that China can't get these chips, but how are you really implementing it? Right? How can you really stop China, the military, the government, unknown businesses, companies from getting their hands off these chips? Yeah, you may get the words written on law banning China, but how can you really follow through? Buying or selling high-end US chips is not illegal in China. And the publicly available tender documents show dozens of Chinese entities have bought and taken receipt of Nvidia semiconductors since restrictions were imposed. Who's in control of this? Like, who actually is monitoring whether or not these businesses in China is buying and selling these Nvidia chips? Now, these chips include A100 chips and the more powerful H100 chip, whose exports to China and Hong Kong were banned in September 2022. So it's going on like 2 years now. This September, it will be 2 years. As well as the slower A800 and the H800 chips, Nvidia then developed for the Chinese market, but which were also banned last October. The article goes on to say that graphic processing units, a type of chip that are built by Nvidia, are widely seen as far superior to rival products for AI work, as they can more efficiently process huge amounts of data needed for machine learning tasks. The continued demand for and access to banned Nvidia chips also underlines the lack of good alternatives for Chinese firms despite the nascent development of rival products from Huawei and others. Prior to the bans, Nvidia commanded a 90% share of China's AI chip market. That was before the ban. China wanted them chips so bad that they ran 90%. They bought 90% of the Nvidia chips. And it kind of goes to show you what this article is leading into is that there's no other competitors to Nvidia. That is why the stock continues to make all-time highs, because there's no competition. When you have the best product on the street, people will pay you any enormous amount of money just to get their hands on it. And by China trying to skirt these restrictions is letting you know that there's no other competition on the market right now. Maybe Huawei or some other company, semiconductor business, can create a chip that will compete with Nvidia. But as right now, this article goes on to say there's no competition yet. So how will that impact the stock? Will Nvidia stock continue to go higher? I think so. Here's the market right here. We did a price prediction in Nvidia right here on the 1st of January, the beginning of the year. Market hit our ultimate TP price on the 11th, 10.98%. Let's get rid of this. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Price is still bullish, making all-time highs. Nothing has changed in that regard. Nvidia is a stock that is still bullish. Now, target-wise, I can't tell you. All I can tell you is that off of the article that Reuters just wrote, off of the price chart that we're looking at right now, this stock is still bullish. So I'm going to anticipate higher prices still, but it's going to be upon you to determine how high you think it's going to go. I think some analysts have Nvidia running like to 700, but for us, we're just going to go ahead and drop this on the chart. Okay. So let's go ahead and do an 8% run, 9%. So that would give us around what, 600? Let's do 600 as a nice round number. Now for me, anywhere within this price prediction will have to be TP. Okay. Stock currently is still bullish. Let's go ahead. Let me see this on a 330-minute chart. And I'm going to create these buy zones for areas that we want to see price in Nvidia to not fall below. Okay, so these are the two buy zones there. Let me go ahead and cut this one out the way because that's too far to the downside. And let's bring this down there. And we are in position. So I think if you read in between the lines from the article, how China still wants access to these Nvidia chips, and as long as they're able to continue to skirt around the restrictions that the US has, Nvidia stock is going to continue to go up because there's no competition out there on the street right now for this particular market. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Now, if the United States, begins to monitor more physically on how these Chinese businesses are able to get their hands on these chips, that could put a dent into Nvidia's stock price, no doubt. We can definitely see the market in Nvidia go lower off of that. Because if Nvidia held 90% of the chips being sold in China, and the United States is able to reduce that down to like 40%, oh, best believe Nvidia is going to hurt. And the stock market, the stock prices will also hurt as well. Something that you need to consider. But one thing that the article in Reuters didn't talk about is how the United States is going to be a little bit more restrictive, however they were going to do it, into not allowing the Chinese military government, i.e. businesses, companies, get access to these chips. What would they have to do? Put boots on the ground? Start checking the shipping, the cargo that docks in China? What would they have to do? Give me your thoughts. Make sure you maintain your profitability. And as always, trade different.